Hi, I'm Scott, and today on Synth Stuff, we're going to talk about formants, what they are, how to use them, and why you should even care, coming up next. Formants have a technical definition, but as far as we're concerned in music, primarily we're talking about speech. And what is a formant in terms of speech? We have to talk about anatomy a little bit first. So you have your voice box or your vocal folds, which vibrate and create pretty much a sine wave. And as that sound comes up from your vocal folds, it encounters chambers or areas. You have your throat, you have your mouth, you have your sinuses, and everyone is different. So everyone has a different sounding voice because of the various shapes and sizes of the cavities inside their head that the sound passes through on its way out until it gets out of your mouth. As the voice moves through those different chambers, it resonates. Just like a room has a resonant frequency, the sound vibrates and echoes back and forth between the insides of the chambers, just like inside a room. With a given speed of sound, that vibration back and forth will come up with a specific frequency. It takes X amount of time to go from this wall to that wall and back again, and as you go back and forth, that's a wave and that's a sound. So what happens is as the voice sound comes out of your vocal folds and then echoes around inside the various chambers inside your throat and your head, those individual spaces resonate at specific frequencies. And those overtones or formants, the harmonics, added to the sound of your vocal fold or your vocal cords is what gives you your individual timbre over the sound of your voice. Men will typically have a lower frequency vocal fold sound, and then their chambers are usually a bit larger, so the resonant frequency of those spaces is bigger and the frequency is lower. So the overall formants and the voice is lower for men. For women, it's higher, so you get a higher sound. Why do we care about formants? Well, those formants are how we create speech, because these chambers inside us, particularly your mouth and your palate, are not fixed in place. You can change them. You can move the muscles inside your head and change the size of these chambers. And that's how you create vowel sounds. Just like this. O, ah, e, oo. I'm changing my mouth, my throat, and so on. I'm changing the size and shape of those chambers, and it affects the formant frequencies, and our brains interpret the formant frequencies as vowel sounds. There's quite a few different formant frequencies. However, they're usually in a typical range. Your first formant, the lowest one, is usually 150 to 850 hertz. Second one's from about 500, 2500. Third one's 1500, 3500, and so on. It's really the first three that we're concerned with. There's quite a few, but it's the first three that really make a difference in terms of how we interpret the sound coming out in different vowels. So if we have a look, I've got a spectrogram here on the top and waveform on the bottom. So you can see my voice. Now, on the spectrogram, you can see this solid white line. The lowest frequency on the spectrogram is my fundamental. That's the sound coming out of my vocal folds. So I can go, ah, and you see that big wide line on the bottom. That's the fundamental frequency. And all those different lines above it are the different harmonics or formants. So as I change the vowel sounds, you can see different levels of those formants come up and down. And now you can also see the frequencies on the waveform below that. Ah, e, oo, e, ah, o. So as I change the shape of my mouth and my throat and create different vocal sounds, you can see the different formants coming up and down in relation to the fundamental frequency. Now, this is important when we want to speed up or slow down recordings, particularly if there's voices involved, because if you see I change the frequency of the fundamental, the formant frequencies don't change. Ah, ah, e, oo, oo. So you can see the fundamental moving up and down, but the formants stay in place. Those formants are defined by my physical anatomy. So because I'm changing the pitch of my voice doesn't change the anatomy of my head and my throat and my mouth. So those formants or harmonic frequencies don't change. Now, where that comes into play with recording is when we record speech or singing and we want to speed that up or slow it down. Say we want to correct the pitch because somebody sung something a little bit flat, like I just did. So if you just speed it up, well, you're also going to raise the formants, and our brains know that's not right. That doesn't sound natural. So let's have a listen to that. Here's me talking just a sentence, normal recording. I'm talking into this microphone to record speech along with the formant frequencies that go along with the physical anatomy of my voice. Okay, now I'm just going to speed that up and listen to what it sounds like.
I'm talking into this microphone to record speech along with the formant frequencies that go along with the physical anatomy of my voice.
So that's like a Mickey Mouse sound, and you get that because all the formants have shifted as well, and we know that's not natural. That's not human speech. Same thing if we slow it down like a tape, it's going to shift all those formants down, and you're going to hear the same effect.
I'm talking into this microphone to record speech along with the formant frequencies that go along with the physical anatomy of my voice.
Now, with the advent of digital audio workstations, we can speed up and slow down things by taking little bits of time slices, and for slowing it down, we'll just repeat individual time slices several times, and for speeding it up, we'll just slice it up and then just remove some of those time slices. So it changes the speed, but it does so without changing the pitch, like this. I'm talking into this microphone to record speech along with the formant frequencies that go along with the physical anatomy of my voice. Or slow it down like this. I'm talking into this microphone to record speech along with the formant frequencies that go along with the physical anatomy of my voice. Now, the other thing we can do with digital audio workstations is actually change the pitch of the voice without altering the fundamentals. This is where auto-tune and that sort of thing came in. Here's a recording of me singing some notes. I'm singing this song. Here is my song I'm singing. Now, I'm going to pitch those notes up, and notice that it doesn't change it into a Mickey Mouse voice because it's only pitching up the fundamental and leaving the formants in place exactly where they were. It still has my timbre of voice, but the fundamental pitch that you interpret as the pitch of the note that I'm singing changes. So listen to this and watch the waves on the screen as that happens. I'm singing this song. Here is my song I'm singing. So here's the original. I'm singing this song. Here is my song I'm singing. And here's the altered one. I'm singing this song. Here is my song I'm singing. Some synthesizers, like the Hydrasynth over here, have a formant filter where it actually will filter those formant frequencies up and down to imitate vowel sounds. You can actually make your synthesizer kind of talk. I think it's kind of cool the way they put a little animated mouth on there that kind of gives you an idea of what vowels it's actually trying to imitate. The other place this comes into play is in vocoders. Vocoders were actually originally created for the telecommunications industry as a way of multiplexing more conversations onto a single phone line by dividing up the different frequencies. So what a vocoder does is it's kind of like a graphic equalizer where you have individual bands of frequencies with a very, very narrow cue. So it's only looking at a very narrow band of your speech. And it has maybe 32 of these if it's a really good vocoder. So it's actually slicing up your speech or sound into 32 very narrow little frequency bands. What it does then is takes the overall amplitude of each of those bands, and instead of passing through the original sound, it applies that as a frequency shifting filter to another sound. So if you had somebody saying the letter E, well, you're going to have that fundamental frequency and the 3 formant bumps in frequency. So if you take that EQ curve, apply it to the sound of a synthesizer, what you're going to end up with is a synthesizer that's making an E sound, like this.
This is the JDX. We change the carrier frequency to have different speech come through.
Well, that's it. A little primer into formants and how you can use them in music. I hope that was of some interest to you. If you like what you saw, please click like, subscribe, click that little bell down below. It really helps us when you do that, and you never miss out on any of our videos. Thanks for watching.